Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled parent stories. Today we have a very special episode for you, a compilation of some of the greatest entitled parent stories we read over the past year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a few hours of the most entitled parents you've ever heard of. And by the way, Karen assured me that if this video gets 1,000 likes, she won't try to speak to anyone's manager for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. And become an official member of the Re-Army today, and I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming video. r/entitled parents. You can't stop stupid. 3. Roll for initiatives. From user D Fatman. It's a whale. No, it's a plane. No. It's your favorite Re-Army security guard here, D Fatman, with another set of stories of the entitled variety. As normal, my previous warning still applies, and my previous stories will be linked at the bottom. A quick warning, this post has a very painful point, so reader's discretion is advised. With that out of the way, let's jump right into it. Now, let me start with a little needed context. First one, I'm a geek, and I mean like almost old school geek that played a lot of videos and tabletop games, which these stories kind of revolve around. As well as this all happens at the same location, namely a net cafe. It's one of those locations that you could pay for some time to play on their computers. For the sake of these stories, we will call the place the Game Station, which obviously isn't the name of said place, but it will do. Now, during this time, I had just freshly turned 18 before this summer, so I was considered a full-blown adult during all of this. Well, during most of this summer, me and a group of friends would go to the Game Station to hang out and play games, mostly to play Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D for short. For those that wonder, I would play either a barbarian or a bard. The latter because I like telling stories of old campaigns. Well, during this time, we had a bit of an issue with another customer of the Game Station, a little entitled kid, which for the sake of the story, I shall call him Piglet. Namely for a few facts. 1, he would snort when he would laugh, like a hog sort of. 2, he loved to quote Piglet from Winnie the Pooh with, "Oh dear." Now, normally I don't mind little kids, as I'm very protective when it comes to them, especially if they're being bullied, mostly coming from having been in their shoes and knowing when a big kid or guy was on your side was a big bit of support. But in Piglet's case, he would abuse this to the point that he had some large guys on his side and would use them to muscle his way into other people's account, mostly by accusing them of kicking Piglet off his computer and using up his account's time to play, which the owners would side on the kid's side mostly because there is no proof. But after a while, even the owners weren't believing this as it had happened so often. But finally, this was put to an end when Piglet would try to accuse me of doing it. But one small problem. I had been there long before Piglet even arrived that day, and he would do it right when he gets there, seeing how much time I had. Mostly because I had said I was a software guy and would help troubleshoot some of their problems when something caused a computer to freak out. So instead of paying me, they would credit my account with free time. So I had no reason to play on Piglet's time. I had plenty to use for myself, and even some days I wouldn't even play on the computer because I was more there to play on their TV or to play some tabletop. Sadly, those two weren't even safe from Piglet. When it comes to playing on the TV, as long as no one else wants to play, you would be allowed to play a one-player game. But as soon as other people want to play, it had to do one of two things. Either share the game or switch to a multiplayer game, which most times it was either DDR, Dance Dance Revolution, or Super Smash Bros. I don't remember which version it was at the time. Piglet was the worst kind of player. Either overly mouthy if he was winning, or would throw the controller if he lost. I had to replace a few of my controllers because of the latter. But tabletop was the worst when it comes to Piglet's annoyance. Now, the only game we would play tabletop-wise was Dungeons & Dragons, and we had a dry erase mat and figurines. Mostly cheap ones, but we liked our figurines, and we had a few of them just disappear on us. Even this larger figurine was a dragon that one of the other players had made themselves, and I will admit, it looked pretty awesome. If it wasn't that, then it would be Piglet's snorting fit when we wouldn't let him play with us. Mostly because we know of how he acts when playing a video game, and we were not having that when we were playing. Mostly because we all had our Piglet war stories and just wanted to avoid it. Sadly, we couldn't go to anyone's house to play, so this was our only option to play some semi-peace. That and getting a bottomless cup for the foundation was a bit of an added bonus. The first night when all this came to a head was like I said something in the middle of summer, and we were planning to do a long session, mostly because we had a large dungeon in front of us, and sometimes it sucks stopping in the middle of one. We started right when the place opened up around noon. When Piglet came in was close to about 5, so we were pretty deep within the dungeon. Most of us were having fun, except our thief, who was having a bad time with his dice rolls. It happens. And I, mostly because the game station didn't have enough chairs for everyone. Partly because another group took most of them for a little gaming marathon that they had gotten the okay from the owner. So this time we had a cooler with mostly snacks, so none of us had to make a run to the local convenience store that was just down the strip mall from where we were. So everyone was sitting higher up in the table when I was closer to being eye level with it. It was a tall folding table, and even with me being a big tall man, just made me look like Kilroy. When Piglet walked in with his mother of all people, a woman that looked like an old school entitled woman from I would say the 60s or 70s. Hard to tell which, but she looked just like a walking pain about to happen. For the sake of the story, let's call her Miss Piggy. When Piglet noticed this, he rushed over with his standard begging.
Let me play, let me play, let me play.
He would continue to say this over and over again, till someone said something to him, which most of the time was, "Shut up." But not in this case. Our dungeon master for this campaign was not having any of this. For this story, let's call him Mark, mostly because he's a large fan of Markiplier, later down the line even getting himself a pink mustache. But I digress. Not today, Piglet. Go bother someone else.
But why not?
He then squealed closer to a ree when he wasn't getting his way. Because of that right there. Now leave us alone. Most of us made a sound of an agreement to this. This got Piglet to let out a loud squeal at this.
Mommy!
This got the attention of Miss Piggy, who, from what I had to guess, was getting her little son more time for his account.
What is it, Piglet? These people won't let me play their board game with them.
This got his mother to look at us angrily.
And why won't you let my handsome little son play your little game? Aren't you all too old to be playing games?
This got our friend Jeff to chime in. Now Jeff can and will be a jerk to anyone that annoys him. Jeff, aren't you too old to butt into other people's lives?
How dare you talk to me like that? You should respect your elders.
I say, and you should respect other people's wishes, but here we are. This got Miss Piggy to look at me, who was sitting low to the ground and mostly hidden by the table.
Why don't you say that to my face?
Okay. I stood up and walked around and stood right next to her. Now, even while I was in school, I was a tall guy, still about 6-footish around this time, and this woman was close to about 5'5" to about 5'10" range. I couldn't tell to be sure, and frankly didn't care. As I said, you should respect other people's wishes.
Well, Tubbo, it looks like someone needs to lose a few pounds.
And someone needs to get a few brain cells. If you couldn't tell, I was not having anyone's crap. This mostly came from having to match sharp wits with my father, who would needle you every chance he got to make fun of you. So I was well versed in comeback foo.
Do you know who my husband is?
Hopefully someone smarter than you.
How dare you say that to me? Apologize right now for insulting my husband.
After you apologize for interrupting our game of Dungeons and Dragons. As soon as that left my mouth, something changed in Miss Piggy's demeanor.
Did you say Dungeons and Dragons? Like that occult game?
I just gave her a flat look. Everyone should have known at this point that Dungeons and Dragons was not some occult game. I mean, if you broke it down, all it is just math and role-playing, which if anyone should know is fine. It wasn't like we were trying to summon Cthulhu or anything of that sort. No, it's just a tabletop role-playing game.
I don't want to hear your lies. Piglet, let's go. I don't want you anywhere near these people.
We all watched as Miss Piggy grabbed her son's arm and dragged him out of the game station. After that, I sat down and we went back to our game. We did crack a few jokes later down the line, and even told the owners after they asked what happened. They got a kick out of it after facepalming at how stupid Miss Piggy was. Sadly, dear readers, this wasn't the end of this. A few days later, the group of us met up again and we were playing on the TV. Most of us were playing DDR Mario Mix at the game, so we were working up a bit of a sweat. Mostly, this allowed people, after doing a song or two, to sit down and let the next person play. Now, on Mario Mix, I could easily do super hard mode and only miss a note or two. I'm not a dancer, but I can at least do my best. After doing one of my favorite songs and worked up a pretty heavy sweat, so much so I had to clean the sweat from my eyes, which required me to take my glasses off to do so. For those wondering, I'm nearsighted, which means I can see things close to me but not far away. After I sat down to give my legs a bit of a break and to catch my breath, I felt a tap on my shoulder. At first, I thought it was one of my friends to ask me something personal. Now, this wasn't anything new to me, as I tend to be a great listener for my friends and often would try to give advice to help them out. Sadly, this wasn't a friend. This was Miss Piggy, and right when I turned, she gave me a face full of mace. Let me state this as clear as I can. Mace really burns. As soon as it hit my face, I began to scream in pain. I will admit, I didn't hear what happened next, but was told this next bit later after they helped me clean up and try to deal with it as best I can. Even going as far as to make a run to the store for some milk. But from what I was told, my friends took direct action. Both Mark and Jeff jumped on Miss Piggy and pinned her to the ground, making sure the mace was out of her hands. All while a friend of mine that I will call Jenny took me to the bathroom to try and clear it up as a fourth friend ran to tell the owners and then go get the milk. Mark.
Why did you do that to him?
He yelled at her.
You jerks deserve much worse. Let me go. God knows I'm right.
Jeff.
Got a crazy one. Someone call the cops.
The owner.
They are already on their way. What happened?
Mark.
Crazy here just maced our friend.
Let me up.
From there, the cop arrived and she was taken off. An officer came and got information from me. As best as I could, I sure as heck pressed charges and luckily obtained no permanent damage. But I haven't forgotten that feeling, even after all these years. I figured I would share a story where sometimes I wish I had kept my mouth shut. But as I said, wisdom is only earned after the fact. Just remember to pick your battles wisely, as it goes to show you, you can't stop stupid, but you should be wary of the crazy ones out there. So thank you for taking the time to read this, and Mr. Reddit, if you're reading this, thank you for reading my previous stories and this one. and I hope you're having a nice day. Thank you for reading. Hope you enjoyed. Editor's note. Waves frantically. Hi, YouTube. Next we've got, so what if you have social anxiety? I need to have my friends over. Entitled Roommate Story. I was reminded that I meant to post this after I moved out of my old place, but never got around to it after you read a story about a sloppy roommate making their roommate sick and not caring. So here it is. I'm not on mobile, and I majored in English in college, so I have no excuses for bad formatting or grammar. Also, this story takes place over the course of 11 months or so this will not have very much dialogue. When I got my first place of my own, it was an apartment I shared with 2 other people, who we'll call Roommate 1 and Roommate 2. This is mainly about Roommate 1, as Roommate 2 decided that rather than do anything about the tension and situation, they just wanted to stay out of it. Roommates 1 and 2 and I move in together in May. I had known these 2 nearly all my life, and while I was fairly certain Roommate 2 and I would get along fine, Roommate 1 and I were not meant to be roommates. We were great friends, but had discovered over time that we couldn't even stand to be in the same house for more than a couple days, much less an apartment. My protests about the rooming together were ignored, however, and we signed a year-long lease and moved in. Before we moved, my mom told me if Roommate 1 got to be too much, I should just go to my room. Now, it's important to note that I have social anxiety that was developed over years of working a customer service job straight out of high school, and due to me being the odd duck and it being a small school. I'm not even joking. It was less than 500 kids K through 12. I didn't have any friends there. My mom once said that for all the social development I got going to public school, she'd rather have homeschooled me and saved me the stress. It's also important to note that Roommate 1 was the most social of social butterflies, as in they couldn't stand ever being alone and wanted company all the time. The direct opposite of me, who would likely be the world's happiest hermit if I was ever given the chance. Now for the beginning of the year. A week or 2 after we moved in, Roommate 1 started to bring their friends over every weekend to hang out at our apartment. Since my social anxiety is mainly triggered by having too many people in a confined space or too many people too close to me, having even 1 or 2 people was overwhelming for me, and they were bringing them over every weekend in groups of 3 or 4. When Roommate 1 did this, I would go to my room and hide until they left, as well as the visitors would stay until 11 or later most weekends. Now, I only have 2 days a week off from my job, as I work full-time in 5 8-hour shifts, so Roommate 1 having people over every weekend was making me spend one of my days off hiding in my own apartment. I never thought of it as a home for 6 to over 8 hours because they had to have people around all the time. It got to the point that if someone was there that I didn't know, I became physically incapable of leaving my room at all. All I could do was curl up on my bed with my headphones on and hope that they left in time that I could go get food or go to the bathroom. After 2 or 3 weeks of this, I came up with what I thought was a reasonable apartment agreement. Each of us would have 1 weekend a month to have visitors at the apartment, and 1 weekend we would do the major cleaning. And if the person who had that weekend for visitors didn't want to bring any over, no one else could either. Roommate 1 could still hang out with their friends, but they couldn't bring them back to the apartment, and I would get some much-needed recovery time. But when I proposed this plan, all Roommate 1 had to say was,
You shouldn't make rules that target me. It's not fair. I have to be able to have my friends over.
When I point out they can still hang out with their friends, just not at the apartment because it's causing me issues with my social anxiety, they still say it isn't fair and refuse to go along with the plan, instead insisting they be allowed visitors twice a month. Whatever, it's better than nothing. They have also agreed to a no visitors any later than 10 rule as well. Classes started back up, and mercifully the visits stopped. though I still had trouble leaving my room if either of my roommates were there and awake. But I slowly started to calm down. Each day at work, I seriously considered not going back, but things seemed to be getting better. We even had new neighbors move into the apartment below us, which is important. Then one day, about 4 months later, before the lease is up, on my day off, bam! Roommate 2 tells me that roommate 1 just texted them about bringing people back to the apartment right that moment. I launch into a near panic attack, cursing and gathering my stuff and getting into my room with the door locked just in time to hear the apartment door open and about 6 people enter the apartment. I'm curled up on my bed, headphones on, trying not to cry as they are being so loud I can hear them through my headphones. They are there well past 11 and I have to work the next day, but roommate 1 clearly doesn't care. The next day I wake up exhausted and start an earnest search for a new apartment. And I tell my roommates that they can only have visitors at the apartment while I'm at work, not before or after. That's 40 hours a week for visitors. Now they agree to this, surprisingly, only to bring a visitor over in the morning before I go to work not 2 weeks later. This pattern continues, roommate 1 bringing people over early or having them still there when I get home from work, forcing me to hide in my car until they leave to go into the apartment. Finally, after 11 months of this with my meager social tolerance completely shredded, I move into a new apartment in my hometown without roommates. I doubt I'll ever trust roommates again, and the only people I feel safe inviting over are my immediate family, and I've hardly spoken to roommate 1 or roommate 2 since. Entitled Kid wants my Legend of Zelda manga book because entitled mom says I'm too old for comic books. Greetings, Mr. Reddit. I listen to all of these entitled people's stories every day, and I thought that I was lucky to not encounter any Karen. But boy, I was wrong. So here I am. I'm horrible with spelling, but good thing spelling correction exists. English is not my first language. I give all my characters fake names to protect their identity. And now, the story. Our cast. We've got Seth, me. We've got Drake, my best friend. We've got Karen, the entitled mom. We've got Junior, the entitled son. We have Rebecca, random Uber driver saint that saved me. A bit of background. I was a big Legend of Zelda fan. I bought every game possible and hosted a fan club at my school. For my 15th birthday, my parents bought me the entire Legend of Zelda manga collection. For anybody who doesn't know what manga is, it's Japanese-style comics. And no, I'm not a weeb. On June 12th, Drake and I went to E3 convention. I always take my Nintendo Switch, a manga book, and some money. Important later. And now, on to the story. Drake and me were waiting for an Uber to go to E3. We were sitting on the bench reading my manga book of Legend of Zelda 4 Swords when I see Junior, who's around 7 to 8, looking at my book.
Oh, what are you reading?
Drake, we're reading Legend of Zelda 4 Swords.
Wow, can I read it?
Me, sure. Junior proceeds to climb up behind the bench to read with us. 5 minutes later, Karen calls Junior to go home. She was a typical style Karen, a lady in her 30s, very short and overweight. It was easier to go over her than around her.
Junior, where are you? Come here so we can go home.
Oh, come on. I want to keep reading the comic book.
Drake whispering to me. It's a manga book, you uncultured brat.
Don't worry, Junior. Is that the book you want to read?
Points at my book.
Yes.
Karen tells me.
Seth, give your book to Junior.
Me. Wait, what?
What you heard. Give Junior your darn comic book. Besides, you're too old for comic books.
I'm 15, and I got this manga book for my birthday.
I don't care how old you are, or how you got it. Just give it to me.
Drake.
Lady, this is Seth's book.
I don't care whose it is. Just give Junior the darn book.
Karen, you can buy the collection online for $50.
I don't have enough money to buy that stuff.
Drake and I knew that was BS. She was wearing a purse that looked like it was worth $250. She was also using an iPhone XS. Drake and I also believed she was wearing Gucci. Me. Karen, if you have enough money to buy all that stuff, why can't you afford just a $50 manga collection? Karen sputtering.
Well,
Insert that classic re.
just give me that book.
Drake.
Whoa, lady, you need to watch your mouth. You got kids in front of you.
You don't tell me how to raise my kids.
Mommy, I want that book.
Don't worry, Junior. Mommy is working on it. Give me that book.
Just at that moment, our Uber arrives. Me and Drake just walk away while Karen follows us and yells nonsense about,
Junior deserves that book better than you.
and
I'm your elder, and you should respect me.
my personal favorite,
Besides, you probably don't even know how to read.
Drake opens the door and hops in. Rebecca hears the commotion and rolls down the window. Rebecca. Is there a problem, Karen?
Are you the mother of these two brats?
No, I'm just the Uber driver for them. Karen looks at Rebecca and then looks at my bag.
What do you got in the bag?
My manga book, Nintendo Switch, and $100.
Give it to me, and let me use your Uber.
What the what, lady?
Because you wouldn't give my son your comic book.
Drake.
Karen, it's Seth's manga book, and he decides who reads it and who doesn't.
Rebecca, seeing the situation. Seth, get in. I get in and attempt to close the door, but Karen's hand was holding it open and climbing in. Get out, Karen.
No, now you're my Uber driver.
Don't make me do something bad. Karen refused and attempted to pull me out of the car. Rebecca stomps on the gas pedal, leaving Karen falling flat on the face. I close the door and buckle my seatbelt, then look back and see Karen chasing us. I open the window and yell,
Good luck on catching us.
Drake tagged along, opened the window and yelled.
You better start rolling if you want to catch up to us.
Remember, I said she was pretty big. We close the windows and start to relax. What's with that woman? Karen tried to take my manga book, and then she tried to take everything from me.
She looked like she was ready to rip your head off, Seth.
Rebecca. Luckily, I came to the rescue. We both tell her thanks. Don't mention it. Just try to learn how to deal with them. Rebecca dropped Drake and I off at the convention, and we started to have fun. Up to this day, Drake and I are talking about the encounter with the wild Karen. Thank you everyone for reading my story. Any grammar, punctuation, or weird formatting, please feel free to tell me. And Mr. Reddit, if there's a possibility my story ends up in one of your videos, please put the link in the comments. Next we've got My Entitled Family, Part 8000. JK. So I've posted before, always about the same family. Mine. Of course, let's get the obligatory stuff out of the way. I'm on mobile since my entitled mom took my old computer and never gave it back. A different story. Will post if asked. I'm a first-generation immigrant, meaning I came here within my own life, and English isn't my first language. Background. If you don't know, I'm adopted into a Swedish family. This family took me back to America. This family, after the passing of one of my sisters, blocked out Sweden. We don't talk about Sweden. We don't think about Sweden. We don't go back to Sweden. That means no more sister. They literally stopped talking about her. I never received counseling for the PTSD of being in the car when it happened. I still, nearly 10 years later, blame myself. Yet, no counseling. In this family,
There's me, my entitled mom, Karen, my entitled sister, Rachel, my weird dad, Carrie, and a few other people who all match the entitled theme, except a few. I personally have a long list of mental health problems and medical from the car accident. Now, on to the story. I am, at the time, 18. It's my birthday. This all happened a few days ago, so I'm 19 now. I tend to celebrate early to make it easier, since my birthday is usually on a weekend. I felt I could just go on a small date with my boyfriend and enjoy my birthday. Boy, was I wrong. My mom calls me. Thinking it'd be a happy birthday call, I answered. She instantly starts going off on me, and at first I had no idea what she was trying to say because she was speaking so loud. Here's how it all went.
You little jerk. You spent your money on a video game?
Yes? I earned the money, and it's not yours.
How dare you! I'm your mother. I deserve your money. I raised you. Besides, how are you ever going to pay us back if you keep spending money on worthless things?
Pay you back for what?
Raising you, of course. Don't you know how expensive doctor visits are? You made us pay for so long. You owe us.
But you're my parents. That's just part of having kids. At this point, her yelling had scared me into PTSD of her many years of screaming at me and the way she had treated me. I started tearing up. Suddenly, my boyfriend took the phone, having heard my mom's yelling through it, and he was mad. Now, my boyfriend is extremely protective and doesn't let things slide when it comes to people messing with me.
Listen, Karen, it's your son's birthday. Not only is this not the time to do this, but you're hurting him. It's his money, not yours. Never has been. And to get into it, you had to break the law. He's locked out of his accounts. How'd you get in?
How dare you! She's my daughter, and I refuse to be spoken to this way. I deserve her money.
He's a boy. Respect that, you loud jerk.
She went silent. She could never win against him. That's why he infuriated her so much. This was when we heard a loud shuffling. My weird dad took the phone. He's not entitled, just off. He's like a more expressive Jamie from Mythbusters. He took the phone, sounding tired and exhausted. Weird dad.
Hello, is this OP? No. Karen scared him a lot, so I took the phone. It's boyfriend.
Weird dad.
Okay, hi. She broke into my bank.
His English is much rustier than mine or my mom's.
And looked at your funds. Please forgive her. She just wanted a facial.
Boyfriend.
Like the spa treatment? She did all this BS over a spa treatment? Yeah, she said she's stressed.
He said this in a way that sounded like it was on the same level of boys will be boys, according to my boyfriend. My boyfriend asked them not to call until later when we got home and then hung up, comforting me and taking me to a more secluded area to help me calm down. We had a good rest of the day until I got a notification. My dad sent me money over PayPal, the only thing he has access to besides my actual account, with the note, "Let's just move past this." Apparently, they see $500 as an apology. Thanks for a new game, Karen. If anyone has questions, ask away. I have over 18 years of stories. All names are changed, and I'm honestly sorry if I spelled things wrong or something. Thanks for reading. Next we've got, no, I won't stop using the thing that keeps me alive to avoid upsetting your kid. I have to say, long-time lurker, English is my first language, but on mobile. Here's some quick backstory. Just this past November, I was diagnosed with a very rare genetic liver disease that causes problems with my lungs. Because of this, I need a liver transplant, but until then, I also need to be on oxygen 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. About 2 weeks ago, I had a doctor's appointment. This happened while my husband was signing me in and I sat down. I had this thing that is sort of like a walker with wheels and sort of folds down. I look a little funny with it because I am younger than most people who use this sort of product. While I was waiting for my husband to get me signed in, I was taking deep breaths through my nose, trying to get my breathing relaxed and oxygen flowing. I get out of breath very quickly. I happened to notice a kid, about maybe 6 or 7, looking at me, and I smiled. She was sitting beside her mother. She whispered something into her mother's ear. Her mother, the entitled mother, listened to her daughter and then looked at me.
Can you please take that thing off your face? It's upsetting my daughter.
No?
Well, it's disturbing, and it's ugly. Why do you even have that?
Lady, it's oxygen. I need it.
No one needs that.
Taking a deep breath.
Plenty of oxygen right here in this room.
How nice of you that you have functioning lungs. We don't all have that luck. I can't breathe without this.
It's just a crutch, or you're using it for attention.
I went to say something, but a nice man sitting 2 seats down from me spoke up. He will be nice man.
Lady, when she walked in here, she was breathing so hard that before I saw her, I thought she had to have been a 600-pound man making his way over here. When I saw her, she was whiter than a sheet. She is now getting some color back. She needs that oxygen.
But it's traumatizing my daughter. She shouldn't leave the house if she has to wear that.
Lady, it's a doctor's office. You and your kid are going to see sick people here. Anyway, it looked like your daughter was more curious than traumatized. This would be a good teaching moment for you to explain that sometimes people get sick and need that stuff.
But
Nice man cuts her off.
Lady, she can sit there with oxygen or take it off and not be able to breathe. What do you think would be more traumatizing for your kid? Explaining how sometimes people need to use oxygen or having your kid watch a young woman not be able to breathe?
My husband came back and thanked the guy and shook his hand. Then the nurse called me back. I have not seen that entitled mom since, but I have other entitled mom run-ins if anyone is interested. And our final story of the day. Entitled mom wanted my knee scooter so her kid could play on it. This happened about a month ago, and I don't really have the best memory, so I'll try my best to describe detail. The kid that belongs to this entitled mom is actually really sweet and was probably like 6. He did nothing wrong, so he's named Sweet Boy. Little backstory. I was at a Target. My mom brought me there, but she left me to do my own thing. I had ankle surgery not too long ago before this event happened and was not allowed to walk on my foot. If I put weight on it, it hurted anyway. I was zooming my way around the store. It's really fun to do that. My knee scooter goes really fast. Just can't turn corners fast. Learned that the hard way. Heading to my favorite section of Target, the electronics section. I loved to look around at the new technology and see what they have, whilst comparing other tablets and phones to others, including my phone. I was just browsing at this point, entertaining myself at the goods the Target had to offer, even though I wasn't buying anything because I couldn't afford anything expensive. I can't do my job as a lifeguard because of my foot. Later on, after looking at every single possible electronic in the store, I headed over to the Pokemon cards. Note that there were a heck ton of kids around for some odd reason. Maybe because it was the weekend, I don't know. But these things and video games are really the only things I can do with my life. I'm restricted to not moving around all that much, and I cannot do the sports I love, which is water polo, swim team, and marching band. I zoomed past Sweet Boy, and I noticed as I rolled by him, he wouldn't take his eyes off my clearly fashionable knee scooter. I went up to the beautiful array of Pokemon cards, got up as close as I could, and parked my scooter. Has night brakes to prevent it from moving. Mind you, I still had my bad leg on my scooter, since putting 0.1% of my weight will set off my ankle. I was there for quite a while, making sure I'm making a smart choice of buying something I wanted, when I felt my scooter nudge forward just a bit. I looked down to see Sweet Boy trying to go onto my scooter. I politely asked him to get off my scooter, as I needed to get around safely and without pain. He had this disappointed look on his face, but understood and got off. I thought that was the end of it, so I continued browsing through the options of cards that were in front of me. But not even 30 seconds later, I heard the call of the entitled mom. She must have heard me say no to her precious baby.
Ahem.
I ignore her because I thought it wasn't directed toward me.
Ahem.
I turn around, completely confused as to what in the world is going on.
Why won't you let my kid ride your scooter?
I see Sweet Boy behind his mother, looking like he just wanted to fade away and not be in this argument. Because I needed to get around? I can't walk. It's bad for my ankle, and she cuts me off.
Oh, please. I've seen people walk around in the same kind of boot you're in. You should be able to walk, and let my boy ride your scooter.
I'm getting visibly annoyed. Ma'am, this is not a toy. The hospital gave me this scooter for me to use even before my surgery.
Then why do I see those scooters everywhere? You can easily buy one off Amazon or eBay.
I've had enough of her crap.
Then why don't you do that? I'm not made of money. And if your kid breaks this thing, I have no way of moving anywhere unless someone carries me.
You clearly are made of money. With your scooter and purse and your clothing. I bet you it won't even cost that much money to buy one of these things in the first place. So, let my son play on it.
At this point, the Sweet Boy has gone so deathly quiet. I feel bad for the poor guy. He didn't want to be involved, and I don't blame him. Making my tone serious.
Lady, I don't have a job because of my foot. My parents are already splurging a lot of money for my medical bills. I'm not going to make them spend even more money on me just because your kid wants to play on this toy that helps me move around the store.
But
I've already talked to your kid too. He understands my requests for him not to get on my scooter and play on it.
But
In a harsh tone, don't say any more to me. You do not have the right to take away a disabled person's way of transportation just because your kid wants it. That's not how life works. Maybe you should go home and get a reality check before you show your face here again.
Entitled Mom was dead silent. A little after, she grabbed Sweet Boy by the arm and started dragging him away as he gave me this look like he felt bad for me. As this was a couple of months ago, my foot has been doing just fine, with no complications. I can walk, but I cannot go back to my job of lifeguarding soon. For those who are wondering about my surgery, I unfortunately forgot the name of the surgery, but it was something I was born with. I had an extra bone in my ankle that grew and hardened as I aged, and over time dislocated one of my tendons, slowly making the arch of my foot non-existent. I had a screw implanted in my foot to keep the tendon in its place and got the bone removed. Entitled Mom demands game. Then she demands my game. Oh boy, what a day I had. I have an entitled parent story for you. Too long didn't read on bottom. Backstory. Madden 20 came out on July 31st at GameStop if you pre-ordered it. I have the Superstar Edition. I'm also a 32-year-old guy who is a gamer at heart. No, I don't live with my mom. I'm happily married, I have a 2-year-old, and I work 60+ hours a week. Cast. We've got me, Madden extraordinaire. We've got GameStop worker. We've got entitled mother. We've got nice kid, not entitled. On to the meat and potatoes of the story. I just got off of work at 11 a.m. after working a 12-hour shift. I decided to drive to my local GameStop to pick up my order of Madden 20. I went in and it was completely empty except the worker who I found out later was the store manager. So I went up to him, showed my receipt I have that proves I pre-ordered my copy. As I'm talking to the GameStop worker, in waddles our entitled mom with her kid, who looks like he was around 12. She had the look of a Karen, and I swear she was as big as a walrus. She comes over, literally pushes me out of the way, and talks to the GameStop worker.
Yes, I want to get that new football game you have.
Worker says, "Okay, ma'am. You will have to wait your turn, as I'm dealing with this gentleman."
I don't care. You take care of me first. Now!
I tell the worker, "It's okay, go ahead." Entitled mom tells me very snobbishly,
Good. You look too old to be playing video games anyways, boy. I think you should give me your game for free. Video games rot the mind, and it is the devil's lair.
Nice kid tells his mom, "Mom, please don't do this again."
Shut up, son. You want your darn game, and you will get your darn game. This man has it.
Then she looks at me, and before she says anything, I said, "Why should I give my game up to you after I worked and paid for it with my hard-earned money? Furthermore, if it is the devil's lair and rots the mind, then why are you giving it to your son?"
Because my son is a good kid and gets good grades in school this week.
If your son is in school, then he is in summer school, which means he didn't do good in school. Sorry, try again.
It's his birthday.
Okay, even if it is his birthday, I don't know him from Adam. Entitled mom started getting louder towards me.
Just give me the game now, boy.
Don't call me boy.
Don't tell me what to do. Do you know who I am?
I don't care if you are Mother Teresa. There is no way you will get this game from me. Worker says, "Both of you, calm down. Ma'am, you need to leave now. Sir, here's your game. I'm sorry for..." GameStop worker gets cut off.
I want to see your manager. Now!
Worker walks to back room, then comes out in 5 seconds and says to entitled mom, "Ma'am, I am the manager. As far as I'm concerned, you will not get this game. And furthermore, you are banned from this establishment. So I advise you to leave these premises or I'll call the authorities on you. Do I make myself clear?" Entitled mom was standing there, white as a ghost, and trying to make a good comeback, but couldn't. Nice kid tells me, "I'm sorry for everything here, you guys." It's not your fault. Just don't grow up to be like your mom. Entitled mom got her nerve again.
Don't tell my boy what to do. You jerk! I'll sue you for this.
Worker says, "That's it. I warned you. I'm calling them now." Entitled mom tries to take my game, but I'm way too quick for her.
Help! Help! He has robbed me and hurt me.
I'm laughing so hard it hurt at the time. "You have to the count of 3 to get out."
I'll sue you for this. Both of you.
Good luck. She grabs her kid and ran out. Me and the GameStop worker started laughing about the whole situation and started talking about the game. I went home, played Face of Franchise, was drafted first overall by the Dolphins. Oh, and if anyone wants to use this on YouTube, they have my full permission. Next we've got Entitled Lady Thinks I'm a Pushover, Gets Pushed Out of the Spa. Hi Reddit, this is my first post, but not my first experience meeting or dealing with entitled people. I'm on mobile, so forgive any spelling errors. The phone sometimes does not catch up to my brain or fingers and autocorrects, so please let me know if I can do better in my posts. A little backstory. My family travels and works internationally, but I am the only one that stays in the States to work domestically. I work at a financial firm and am almost constantly working overtime. As such, my mom and I got a great deal on a spa near our house that has all the features we need to relax. Sauna, steam room, jacuzzi, and showers, you name it. The hotel that works with the spa We'll get lots of events from weddings to bachelorette parties to birthdays. And as a member of the spa for the past 3 years now, I have gotten to know the people who work there and try to frequently go to take advantage of quiet relaxation after a long day of work. Trust me, I'm not the entitled person in this story. The cast is me, yours truly, the marshmallow enigma, entitled woman who's never respected another human being in her life, I suspect. And we've got the woman's friend who's not as entitled. And we've got the spa attendant. After working a 4-hour overtime stint every day for the past week, I went to the spa to do a face mask, take a nap, and shower before heading home to fix dinner for my mother. I get my things from the locker, my robe, face mask, and phone, and lay them on one of the 2 beds in the jacuzzi area. One of the beds had another woman relaxing in it, so I took the other bed and reserved it by putting my stuff down. I jumped in the jacuzzi and relaxed in the hot water for a good 5 minutes before this woman, the entitled woman of our tale, comes in. I watch from the water as she starts chatting with the woman, her friend. I just zone out and try to relax in the water, but something in the back of my head nags at me to watch her. After a brief talk with her friend, she looks to the bed with my stuff on it. Without calling out to ask whose items are on the bed, or gently move the items off to the side table nearby, what does she do? She pushes my stuff onto the floor. My iPhone, in its clunky protective case, clatters to the tile floor, making a resounding crash in the empty room. I stared horrified at her. My phone was inches from the jacuzzi when it clattered down and stopped. I was so scared it would fall in the water. I get up out of the jacuzzi, towel off, and grab my phone to make sure it was okay. Everything was working and there were no cracks, so I was thankful, but still livid at her audacity. As I got closer to pick up my stuff and put on my robe, I noticed that she was sitting up straight and staring at my stuff wide-eyed. I looked over at her, reclining in what was my bed, and laughing. When I grabbed my stuff off the floor, entitled lady turned to me and, with a malicious smirk, said,
"Oh, did you need this bed?"
I just glared at her and said no in a clipper tone before walking off. I know I should have snapped at her about almost busting my property and disturbing the spa peace, but I was taught better than to entertain a petty person like her. After that, I thought I had seen the last of her and could enjoy the rest of my day relaxing in peace. But you all know what subreddit this is. I decided to ignore her and put on a paper face mask I had brought from home. I then proceeded to head to my silent sanctum, my napping chamber, the inhalation room. It's a spacious room that has oil diffusers releasing lovely aromatherapy scents for people to breathe in and relax. I go in for the occasional long nap, set my phone for an alarm to go off in 2 hours, and proceed to sleep soundly. About an hour into my nap, I hear the door open and someone sit down on the bench near me. I am on a wide bench, optimal for napping, and the other bench is a bit thinner and for just seating multiple people. Can you guess who entered the sanctum? If you said entitled lady, congrats, you're right. I don't know who entered at this point, but after a few minutes, I hear a huffing sound. Not a huffing sound as in someone is breathing deeply. This person was sighing loudly, exasperated because she was trying to get my attention. Finally, she says in an irritated tone,
"Are you going to move over or not?"
I turned my head to her without moving the rest of my body, half asleep and ticked. I see it's the entitled lady from before, and said, "No, you are already sitting, and I'm happy where I am."
"I don't have enough room. Besides, you don't need all of that space."
"I'm not moving. You already took my bed out there and almost broke my phone. I'm trying to relax. and you are making that difficult. It's not your fault you can't fit." Apparently, this was the wrong thing. She huffed and stomped out of the inhalation room, leaving me alone. I thought I could chalk it up to a win and go back to sleep, but no. Oh no. A few minutes later, I get a knock on the inhalation room door, and in pops the spa attendant. I was confused. "Hello?" Spa attendant.
Hello, ma'am. I'm sorry, but we have received a complaint from one of the other guests that you have been disturbing this lady.
Wait, what? I was shocked and took off my mask since all of the hydration had left and took a good look at the spa attendant. She was someone that had been recently hired by the spa a few months prior. I had met and talked to her once in a while, but never in this situation. When I removed my mask, she instantly recognized me.
Oh, Miss Rock'n'Roller 93. I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry, but do you know this lady?
I look around her to see the entitled lady looking smug, but also confused that we knew each other. I got the best idea and decided to play up the innocent charm to 100. That lady? She has been harassing me all day. I was going to the jacuzzi and set my stuff on a bed to sleep in later. She comes in, tosses my stuff to the floor, and proceeds to take the bed. I let her have it since I didn't want to cause any trouble and decided to come in here instead to sleep. Then she comes in and tells me to get out so she can have the room. My eyes are kind of burning with unshed tears as I recount our encounters, more angry than anything, but playing it off as sadness. I'm confused. I've never had a problem napping here before. Am I not supposed to be here?
No, Miss Rock'n'Roller 93. You are okay to be here.
She's lying. I'm here to relax, and she's been badgering me and getting in my face the entire time I've been here. Why are teenagers even allowed in this spa?
Insert famous re that echoed off of the walls of the spa. Me, now frustrated. I am not a teenager. I am a 26-year-old woman with every right to be here as you do. Use your inside voice for heaven's sake. You're in a spa. Just as it looked like we would be stuck in a statement of he said, she said, the entitled lady's friend piped up. Her friend.
Entitled lady, you're making a scene. You did knock her things to the floor, so stop trying to deny it and let's just enjoy the rest of the day.
After that comment, the spa attendant's head whipped over in their direction with a smile that didn't reach her eyes and said,
Really? Please tell me more.
Entitled lady then lost all of her smugness and paled when she realized she was not getting away with her complaint. Her friend then proceeded to tell the spa attendant everything that happened. Afterwards, the spa attendant apologized for disturbing me and that she would take care of everything. I relaxed back to sleep, still fuming at the whole situation. I got to nap longer than anticipated and showered before getting ready to head out. I saw another attendant who also had an awful experience with the entitled lady. Apparently, the entitled lady tried to get her fired for not getting her towels or bringing her stuff to the pool earlier that day. It wasn't in the attendant's job description, and she kept her job. She was thrilled when she heard the berating the lady got from the spa attendant and the manager after entitled lady had disturbed me. She also heard my jabs earlier, but couldn't act as a witness to everything. Entitled lady was promptly kicked out, and her friend was allowed to continue her time in the spa. All in all, it was a crazy experience. My mother was so proud of me when she heard my story and was thrilled when she heard our next massage would be on the spa for the inconvenience. Hope you enjoyed my little tale of woe and slight payback. You have my permission to use this in a future video, and I hope to hear from you all soon. Next we've got entitled roommate needed me to watch her baby while she went on a date on my birthday. Hello, Mr. Reddit. First off, thanks for reading my previous story. I appreciate it. English is my first language, just sometimes a doofus. Now for some context. We had a nightmare roommate that was also an entitled mother. If things weren't about her, she made them about her. This happened after I moved to where I live now. For more context, she is the daughter of one of my 2 roommates I live with now. Our cast. We've got entitled mom. She's the nightmare roommate and entitled mother. We've got her baby. And we've got me, OB. So, we had just had both my boyfriend at the time over and entitled mom's boyfriend pretty close together in time frames, and it was nearing my birthday. My other 2 roommates were leaving because entitled mom's mother was about to be a 3rd-time grandma, so they left to go see the birth of the other grandchild. I wasn't feeling particularly well due to having some stomach issues that I had been hospitalized for a few hours over a couple of days before the roommates left. She, entitled mom, knew this and that my birthday was coming up. She also knew I didn't have the energy to argue. She used this to her advantage. Remember how I said she had a boyfriend? Well, she apparently didn't care about cheating, even though he was the baby's father. I was laying in bed trying to stop feeling like I was going to be running to the bathroom when entitled mom steps into my room.
Hey, OP. I know your birthday is coming up, but I met a cute guy on Plenty of Fish. We set up a date on that day. Can you watch baby for me?
My reply, sure, just bring me a bucket and don't forget my birthday dinner thing. She did so. I took a nap and forgot all about that conversation. Fast forward to my birthday. Entitled mom comes in and hands me baby. I am confused as I had forgotten the conversation due to being sick still and needing the medicine the hospital gave me still. So I ask her what's going on.
You agreed to watch baby while I go on a date.
She had on too much makeup, an outfit that I could have sworn wasn't hers, and shoes that didn't match the outfit. My reply, okay, it is my birthday though, and I would at least like you to remember the burgers since I can eat those now. I'm not happy you're making me take care of baby though, to be honest, as it is my birthday. I say in the least confrontational voice I can.
I don't care that it is your birthday. You got a cat, and I didn't for my birthday. As such, yes, I will bring the Burger King home, OP, but you better not bother me on my date.
Then you better change baby's diaper right before you leave.
Why? Are you trying to ruin my date?
No, just saying I don't want to do it, and making me agree to something while sick and tired is pretty low of you. She goes on a tangent about how much bull it was that I was trying to ruin her day. So then the guy shows up, and she goes to change her kid, yelling at me from the other room about how I am making her wait and making him wait too. Baby was an angel while her mom was out and didn't get too fussy. After entitled mom's date, she came back and my birthday Burger King was cold. I did my best not to lose it. After her date went home, I called my roommate and got revenge by mentioning it was my birthday and that entitled mom made it about her. Moral of the story, if someone is sick, don't try to force them to agree to anything. Also, if it is someone's birthday, respect that instead of trying to make it all about you. Next we've got, entitled cousin tries to steal my stuff. Hey Mr. Reddit and the Re-Army, I've been watching your videos and I got a crazy one for you. Sorry for any mistakes, I'm on mobile and first post here on this subreddit. Anyways, some backstory. I got my dream room for my 16th birthday. Not to brag, but I got a gaming PC with 2 monitors, Razer keyboard and mouse, big Samsung TV with Xbox and PS4 collectibles, pop figures, and much more any teen could dream of. Now my mom invites people over, which annoys me because kids always enter my room and want to play with my stuff. I can get easily angry, so I try to be as nice as I can and tell them no. But one kid couldn't take no for an answer. Now meet our cast.
We've got entitled cousin. We've got entitled aunt. We've got me, lazy dragon at McDonald's. And we've got awesome dad. Now on with the story. I'm playing some games when entitled cousin enters my room without knocking. Entitled cousin.
Oh,
What?
you have a cool room.
Thanks, I guess.
Can I play on your Xbox?
No,
Why?
because I said so. Now get out.
Not unless you let me play on your Xbox.
I said get out! Entitled cousin now starts crying and runs out of my room, and I thought that would be the end of it. No, son, we were just getting started. Not 69 seconds later, entitled aunt storms into my room.
Why did you make entitled cousin cry?
Jeez, Grandma, calm down. Entitled cousin cried because I told him to get out.
I'm no grandma. Now let my son play, or else.
Me, trying to savage. What are you going to do? Spank with a magical fairy wand?
No, I'm telling your dad.
Meanwhile, we're arguing. Entitled cousin thought it was a good idea to steal my most favorite pop figure Reaper from Overwatch and my Xbox. Entitled cousin stormed out of the room and went after him, not before tripping over and breaking my Xbox. I was livid. What the heck? You jerk! You're lucky your mom is here. Entitled cousin bawling his eyes out.
I wanted your Xbox.
I don't care! After that, entitled mom slapped me and kicked me to the ground.
How dare you talk to my angel like that?
My dad saw I had been kicked to the ground, and this is where entitled aunt screwed up. My dad is 6'10 and a bodybuilder.
Why did you kick my son?
Your son stole my son's Xbox, and he pushed him to the ground.
That's my Xbox that he took, and he tripped, and you blame me for this?
Yeah, you little jerk.
Dad gets upset.
Listen, you've got 5 seconds to leave this house.
But
5 seconds.
At this rate, entitled cousin and entitled aunt stormed out of the house, and I've never seen them since. My dad checked on me, and no pain and no shame, just a mark. I'll probably post here another time, but who cares? Edit. My family is rich, so I got my dream room like I wanted. And yes, I got a new Xbox with the same memory card. And our final story of the day. Karen rees because she thought I got her baby. This is sort of a mixture between pro-revenge and entitled parents. Backstory. Now, I am one of only 2 people in my school who bikes there every day, the other being my friend. Despite the small amount of pedestrians, drivers are quite used to looking out for us. Along the road where my school is, there is a primary school, so you can imagine the bedlam that we encounter every day as many people, including a few Karens, rush with their kids to the school. Our cast. We've got me. We've got my friend. We've got entitled mom. We've got her kid. We've got the other parent. And we've got the tutor. Main story. This happened a long time ago, so some of the details may be a bit hazy. I only became aware of these subreddits recently. I had just gone to pick up friend from his house, which I had done every day. Waiting aimlessly, I noticed a mother, entitled mom, dragging their screaming kid along the street to the school just along the road. This was no anomaly. I'm quite used to seeing this, as it happens at least twice a week from an assorted number of kids and pupils. Once friend came out of his house, wheeling his bike alongside him, we set off almost at once on the left side of the road. We are British and drive on the left, in other words, the correct side. As we approached the crossing for the primary school, I saw entitled mom and her kid crossing it. Soon, we were both close to the crossing. I was riding in front, and kid had escaped the clutches of entitled mom and ran out into the road directly in front of me. I jammed on the brakes,
just when Kid was paralyzed in shock. She had just noticed what she had done. I came to a halt about 3 centimeters from her feet. Enter entitled mom.
What are you doing?
I assumed she was talking to her kid.
Why did you just crash into my baby?
I quickly realized she was shouting at me. What? I didn't.
I just saw you slam into her. You purposefully did it. You rode on that path just to get to my baby.
She said all of this, pointing her acrylic nails right at me. In situations like this, I try to keep as calm as possible, preferring to use reasoning instead of screaming at her. I didn't do anything of the sort. I was riding along the road. Entitled mom marches up to me.
Yes, you did. You're just lying to get out of trouble.
My friend. Obviously. Of course, it seems perfectly reasonable for him to be on the road instantly after he hit someone on the path, with the person he hit standing on the road and seems in good health. Of course it doesn't, you daft jerk.
Don't use language like that in front of my baby.
The hypocrite. Her kid says,
Mommy, that nasty boy just hit me.
which I didn't.
I know, sweetie. I'll make sure he gets put in jail.
Kid grinned maliciously. Entitled mom pulled out her phone and opened it. Just as she began dialing what I presume was the police number, I couldn't see the keypad. A man who we shall call Other Parent, or P for short, came striding from the path.
What the heck is going on here?
Entitled mom.
That idiot purposefully hit my kid on the bike.
Bull crap. I saw the whole thing. You let go of your kid, and she ran off into the road where these bikers were. He didn't even hit her, you lying jerk.
How dare you?
She says a specialized Karen line.
I will make sure your child is expelled. I know the head teacher. We are good friends.
Get out of here, you jerk.
Me. Go ahead, call the police. But remember, there will probably be CCTV cameras observing every move.
Yes, and it will show you trying to hurt my kid.
At this point, I lost it. Taking a deep breath, I bellowed. Look, I didn't hit or harm them in any way. You're just a disrupting piece of crap who just wants to ruin someone else's day. Now, I don't care if you call the police, because you'll be the one getting in their car.
Why would they do that? You are delusional.
Let's think. Well, for disruptive behavior, falsely calling when it's not an emergency, and, my friend says, for false accusations. I just looked at my friend's watch. 9:15. We were 10 minutes late. Oh, we're late. He looked at his watch too. He looked up in fright. In unison, we both set off, swerving in and out of the others. The last I saw of the almighty Karen was her screaming.
Where are you going? I'll make sure you're put in prison.
Soon we arrived in school and ran to our tutor. Tutor, where have you both been? We'll explain afterwards. You better. Once the bell rang, Tutor beckoned us to her desk. Explain yourselves. We did. Every single detail. Once we had finished, Tutor said, Okay, I will report this to the head, and he will notify the primary's head in turn. It will be dealt with appropriately, so run along to your first lesson. The next day, Tutor told us that the Karen got a hefty fine of 1,000 pounds. Every time she saw me, she gave me a filthy look, which gave the typical Karen expression.
I'll get you back for this.
To which I replied with a wide, sarcastic, ingratiating smile. And so, another Karen gets what she deserves. Mr. Reddit, I give you full permission to use this story. This is not a taxi. Hey, Mr. Reddit and Re-Army. I'm still new to Reddit and haven't worked out all the bugs yet, so go easy on me. This story was a long time ago and happened to my dad. Our cast. We've got my dad. We've got my awesome mom. We've got entitled Karen, who was awesome mom's coworker. On a typical weekday evening, awesome mom would finish work at the nursing home and dad would always be there waiting to pick her up. Dad drove an old black Audi 80, and it had been in need of a car wash and had seen its fair share of miles. Coincidentally, local taxi companies in the area had similar looking black cars around the same age and condition, with the exception of the big, bold, bright yellow sign saying taxi on the roof and large advertising plastered on the sides, which is a bit of a giveaway. Awesome Mom had been working at the nursing home for a few years, and most of the staff knew Dad and what his car looked like. Most of the other staff didn't have their own car and usually called the local taxi companies to pick them up at the same spot Dad usually parked and honk their horns twice to announce their arrival. So Dad is parked waiting for Awesome Mom as usual when he gets a text from Awesome Mom saying that she'd be 5 minutes late and just to wait for her. 5 minutes come and go, and still no Awesome Mom. Dad is a little impatient and honked the horn a couple of times. It was at this moment he knew he messed up. A few seconds later, entitled Karen walked out of the main door and right up to the passenger side door of Dad's car and got in.
About time you got here. Take me to
the place Karen's nest.
What the heck are you doing in my car? Get out! This is not a taxi.
Just shut up and drive. I've had a very long day and don't need any of your stupid BS.
Get out of my car! This is not a taxi.
I booked this taxi, so take me home now.
For the last time, this is not a taxi.
How dare you talk to me like that? I'll have your license suspended and make sure nobody else in my workplace hires your company again.
I'm here to pick up my wife, who you work with.
Does the name Awesome Mom ring a bell in that empty head of yours?
She can't have this taxi. I called for it. Besides, her husband always picks her up. So stop lying and take me home.
Just a small side note. Dad is a man who has very little tolerance for BS and was shouting at this point on, but I can't make the font any bigger to show just how loud he was, bearing in mind he used to be a drill sergeant for the Royal Air Force.
I am her husband, and I'm picking her up. And for further details, I am not a taxi driver.
Entitled Karen, now having the fear of the Almighty forced into the vast, empty cavern that was her brain, started looking around the car, looking at the dashboard, and then said,
Where is your meter?
I don't have a meter, because this is not a taxi.
This went on for a while, until Awesome Mom walked out the main door and opened the passenger door to see her coworker sat in her seat. Mom says, "Oh, hello, Entitled Karen. Why are you sitting in my seat talking to my husband?" Just as she said that, a taxi pulls into the car park and honked his horn. The look on Karen's face was worth 1,000 words as she sheepishly climbed out of the car and shuffled over to the actual taxi. As Awesome Mom got into the car, she could hear Karen shouting again, this time at the actual cab driver. Why, you ask? Because the taxi wasn't hers. Thanks for reading, and feel free to put this on YouTube and edit as you wish. And yes, you can roast me for poor grammar. Next we've got Rude Customer Doesn't Know What's Coming for Him. This happened at my previous job. I used to work for a cell phone company. This particular company doesn't provide prepaid lines in store. You have to call and they will send the customer our way to pick the chip for the system to work. We have Rude Customer. We also have Entitled Dad. And we have Hero Coworker and me as OP. Please, someone tell me why in so many stories, me is OP. Oh, it stands for Original Poster, the one who started the thread. Rude Customer and Entitled Dad. Both should be somewhere between 37 to 58. And thinking bad language is a required trait to be defined as a man, came to the store, rejected an employee's assistance. Then the younger checked every possible phone and took pics showing the tongue, picking his nose, and making faces, which later we have to delete, while the father sat on a bench to rest. Once he finished clowning around, comes to me, which by that time I'm finishing with a customer, and as soon as I look at him, he started this rant.
My friend said this company sucks, and it has the worst service.
Me thinking, and you are here because? I respond, I'm sorry that you heard that. However, that issue happened 2 years ago. We've improved a lot since. I'm forced to say this every time because it's true and was a dent in the company's history.
Oh, really?
He scoffed and grinned.
And if I get a line of service with you, and it is as useless as I've been told, are you going to refund me?
Yes, sir, you're right. We are giving our customers the right to try our services for an entire month before deciding to stay or choose another company. After that period, if you decide to leave, we'll reimburse you for the total cost of the transaction.
Okay, I'll give it a try. But I'm not getting one of your phones with your tricky contracts. I want a prepaid service.
Oh, for that you'll have to call customer service because the prepaid option is something we cannot provide in store. However, I can help you by checking your phone and seeing if it's compatible with our network.
So now you're going to make me feel that my phone is not good enough? This is the latest Samsung. I'm not buying another.
Me, getting annoyed but still trying to deliver the best service. No, sir. You said your phone came from X company. They operate on a different network. And
Cut the crap, because you're getting me confused. I know this is something you like to do to convince me, and I already said I'll try. Let's start the process.
But sir, you said you wanted a prepaid service, and that's something we can't do in store.
Look, I'm getting tired of you telling me what is what, and I've lost my patience. It seems you're incapable to do a simple task. You need to do some training to be able to work with customers. Excuse me.
He said it in the same rude tone to another coworker who was going to get a phone on the back of the store while I shrugged and took the brick stance, arms crossed, not moving, not talking.
I need you to help me because him
He points at me.
doesn't know his job.
Coworker seemed to be listening to the conversation because his face didn't look pleased. Coworker says, I'm very busy at the moment, but I'll do my best to help.
This is how you should treat a customer, see?
He said, looking at me while pointing at him.
So, I need you to open a prepaid line for me. And please do it quick, because your coworker made me lose my time.
Coworker says, actually, my coworker was right. We cannot, nor have the means to open a prepaid account. This is a call-in service option. Oh, someone was putting rude customer in his rightful place, which goes against the golden rule of the customer is always right, even when he's wrong. I thought, here comes the crap storm. Rude customer scoffs like he just heard a bad joke, then seeking support.
Dad, did you hear?
What?
They cannot open a prepaid account for me.
What kind of crap is that?
Coworker turns to entitled dad. The same kind of crap I was talking about. Rude customer, entitled dad, and me stared at coworker, wide open eyes, everyone's jaw touching the floor. But there was no way rude customer would stay defeated. He was enjoying his victory against me, and he will subdue that rebel of an employee at the spot. Rude customer said while staring daggers at coworker.
Well, but now I'm not leaving till I get what I came for. Call customer service now. I want my prepaid line now.
Coworker without losing his cool. Then you have to call them, sir.
No, I'm saying you have to pick
Making the phone sign.
the phone and make the dang call to get my line.
Coworker says, no, you, mimicking rude customer, have to pick up your phone and call them, your dang self, if you want that service. And have a nice day.
Coworker then turned his back on them and went to the task he was busy with before being interrupted. Rude customer was speechless. But once he recovered from the surprise, he started shouting at him to the tune of,
If bad is the service, worse are the employees.
and similar crap. I was holding my laugh because I never thought someone in customer service would reply that way. Later on, and free from clients, we were laughing like crazy while repeating the story for our amusement, and coworker told me, "Don't be afraid to lose a job if you have to put an entitled jerk like him in his place. You're here to sell phones, not put up with these people's crap. You lose a job, look for another job. Simple." Next we've got, entitled mom gets mad at me when staff asks her to move because I'm injured. Hey Mr. Reddit, longtime lurker from your channel and made an account just to post something. I enjoy your videos very much and ask you keep up the amazing work. Obligatory, I'm on mobile, so sorry for formatting. English is my first language, but I know sometimes I just get stuff wrong. Be kind when you point out errors, please. Now, let's get into this, shall we? So this happened over this past weekend. We went down to Orlando, Florida to celebrate my and my brother's birthday, since they're within a week of each other. It was me, my brother, my mom, and my daughter with us there for this. So Saturday was his birthday, so he chose Typhoon Lagoon as our hangout for the day. Unfortunately, while at the park, I managed to slip and slam my already recovering from a previous injury knee into the ground. So I had to sleep with an ice pack on for the last few hours. Now, the weather was supposed to stay clear, but not long after I managed to injure myself, it began to rain. So of course, I'm hobbling along, keeping track of my daughter in the crowd with my mom as we look for my brother and head for the gift shop for some cover. Turns out, a lot of other people had the same idea. At this point, I was rotating the ice pack from the cold side to the well-padded side that I couldn't feel the ice, since it was easier than carrying the wrapped bag and dealing with a toddler. Inside, there's 2 benches, just 2 small benches, so a lot of people were sitting on the floor or in displays of merch. On one of those benches is 2 children, both on phones, next to a single small backpack. My mom asked them nicely if she and I could sit there, and they politely said no, they were waiting on their parents. So we sat in amongst the towel display near them. I had difficulty due to my knee, but we managed. My brother left at some point and returned with ice cream, and while eating it is where it all starts. I'll try to write the dialogue best I can from memory, but may not be 100% correct. Cast will be me, my mom, entitled mom, and employee. Employee walks over as I'm cleaning my daughter up since she's making a mess, like toddlers do with ice cream. "Ma'am, you need to move. We don't want you to make a mess of our towels." Me, "Right, sorry, but I need some help to get up due to my knee." As I said this, my brother grabbed my daughter and went off somewhere else with her. Huge help since that was the main point of the issue. Employee didn't seem to understand. "Ma'am, I need you to move so you don't make a mess." "Yes, I know, but I need a hand. I cannot get up alone." I motion to my knee with the sleeve and ice pack. Mom says, "I'll need help up as well. My back is bad and it was difficult to get down here in the first place." Employee looks around and realizes there is a bench within 3 feet of us. Looks at the family, since the parents had now joined the kids. "Excuse me, can you let this lady sit, please? She needs to move." Entitled mom says,
I'm sorry?
seeming genuinely confused.
Can your family sit elsewhere? This lady had knee surgery
I never said that.
and needs the bench to sit.
My family is already here. Can't you just do something else? You're Disney, for goodness sakes. Don't you have extra chairs or something for these situations?
At this point,
I wasn't paying much attention as I was trying to get another employee to simply give me a hand so I could stand. Once I was standing, I realized the parents were both getting mad because they were being asked to move when I never asked that. During this, she of course demanded a manager. "Miss, it's fine. I can find somewhere else." Employee says, "No, we'll find you something, ma'am."
Well, we aren't moving.
"I never asked you to. I just wanted help up, and I'm up now." Some more was said, but I don't recall what. Eventually, they just rolled the display I was set on a few feet over, since it was blocking some stair steps to a dressing room, and just let me sit there. Entitled Mom went on for several minutes afterwards about,
It's BS. Why should we move for her when we sat here first? They should have chairs or something for disabled people.
I just tried to finish my ice cream quietly and ignored them. After Entitled Mom walked away somewhere, employee returned with the requested manager and the dad told them where to find Entitled Mom. Sorry it's anticlimactic, but in the moment I was just really confused and hating the confrontation. This turned out way longer than I originally planned. Sorry for that. If this manages to make it into a video, please send the link. Thanks for reading this, y'all. And our final story of the day.
Don't touch me, please.
I tried to tag this as /I don't work here, but I don't know how, so please understand. Intentionally, I changed the words to ease the reading process. As I said before, I'm meh in English. This happened a few days ago. I work for U Company, in-person customer service, but when I'm out with the uniform, no one can tell where I work, so
Can I speak to your manager?
doesn't work with me. I'll explain. Our dress code only requires us to wear the t-shirts with the logo. The color and size of the logo changes with the t-shirt, and we can choose which pants and shoes we'd like to wear. Formal, jeans, or sport, regardless of color. But I like formal attire, so that day I wore black pants and hat with the black t-shirt. The story. I finished my shift and went to a craft store to get some hoops for my mother. She loves doing embroidery and the old ones broke. Since I don't know the country, I use the GPS to guide me. Being my first time there and having no rush, I wander around the store looking at everything and sometimes rearranging items with the right price tags. Because I don't understand why most of the time customers wander around the place taking things and placing them elsewhere instead of returning them to their place or giving it to an employee at the cashier. Because that's their job. Anyway, eventually I found the hoops and was looking for the different sizes and quality, closing them to check if there were gaps along the ring, and in the meantime, I received a friend's call. With more than 5 bamboo hoops hanging in my arms and facing the aisle, I start talking about my day and what I'll do once I get out. So while I'm talking, I heard an
Excuse me, sweetie.
on the background and thought someone wanted to enter the aisle, so I move aside and kept talking, thinking for sure they will go their merry way. 10 seconds later, the same voice changed to a Karen tone and said,
Hey, sweetie. Will you please put that stupid phone aside and assist me?
Me facing her. Excuse me?
You should pay attention when customers need help before letting them waste time trying to find what they need. Now, put all that down and tell me where I can find beads to put in my daughter's dress. They're pearl color, small.
Me, still frozen by that argument. I realized she doesn't know I don't work here, and I went and made a bigger mistake, interrupting a Karen. Oh, please, 1 second. You'll have to excuse me, but
Don't you see I'm talking? How dare you interrupt a customer? You should wait till I finish to help. Now, shut your yap and move it, because I don't have all day.
usually when people tend to treat me like that, I do not move nor reply till they go away yelling at me. And so I told my friend on the phone, who was listening and asking, "Don't worry, talk later." Put the phone in my pocket and stood there, hoops still in my arms. She will listen what I have to say, or she'll rot in front of me. Obviously, Karen pointed outside the aisle for me to guide her, but I crossed my arms, hoops in the same place, and boy, she didn't like that a bit.
I think I told you what to do. Are you stupid, deaf, or both?
I smirked and said, "I think both," and I pushed the wrong button.
Now listen to me and listen well, you waste of nature. It's clear that you couldn't achieve more in your life, and that's why you're working here. If you want to keep paying for that hole that you crawl out of every morning, to work here and make customers look at your dumb face all day, I suggest you move, and move fast. And get me what I asked for, or I'll have your job, and any job you apply for after this. You're going to learn to lower your head before trying to upset someone who's above you. Now, move!
And now she goes and extends the hand to grab me by the sleeve. I'm steaming and my ears fuming for that speech, and I saw the hand approaching me. I had it.
Don't even try to touch me, you piece of crap.
I said that, stepping back to prevent her from grabbing the sleeve.
You're so messed up if you think I'm letting you push me around. I'm not your husband, so keep your hands to yourself.
Then I lowered my arms and gathered half of the hoops in each hand and said,
"Try again, and I'll make you eat this bamboo hoop like the panda bear you are."
Seeing that she shut up for a moment, I continued my rant.
I tried to tell you in a polite way, I don't work here.
But it seems that when you open your mouth, you close your ears like a seal. And it should be that way because you look like one.
Now scram before I break everything I can reach in your head.
She took 2 steps back. I think she always made things go her way, and I just crushed her dreams. All of a sudden, 2 crocodile tears appeared in her eyes, and while sobbing, she started looking left and right for an employee and told me in a low but menacing tone,
You work here, and you're not getting away with this. I'm not stopping till I get your job, and make sure you don't get hired again. Anywhere.
Oh, so that's how powerful you are. Please stop and get lost, you clown. If you were that powerful, you shouldn't even be here. You're just a pain in the neck with a heartbeat and a huge entitlement problem. Get out of my sight.
Finally, one of the 2 employees appeared. Too late.
Excuse me, what seems to be the problem?
Are you the manager? I need this employee of yours to be fired.
Me and the girl looked at each other, and I understood. Aside from the green apron with the name of the store embroidered in it, I could be easily mistaken. If it wasn't for the small logo of my company over the pocket and on the right sleeve.
I'm sorry, lady. I know it's confusing, but he doesn't work here.
So that's how you want to play? I said the first time and I'll repeat. Are you the manager? If not, where is he? I'm not moving till this employee gets what's coming to him.
Employee says,
Lady, I know it looks like he's one of us, but he wears no apron. And please look at the logo on his shirt.
Karen tries to get closer to me, trying to read, but I cover in part of the logo with the hoops while keeping distance just to trigger her. Karen tells me,
Playing funny now? Let's see how long this will last. You're not getting away with this. You work here, and you will swallow your pride in front of me.
Look who's talking. You think you own the moon. I'll be at the cashier, and please, looking at the employee, keep this lunatic away from me. I left Karen banting about me being a jerk. More menaces about getting my job, and telling the poor girl they need to look for better employees before picking up the first trash that comes rolling through the door. Finally, I left that store with my hoops and a headache. I really don't want to find that lady again. Nightmare customer with too much money tries to nickel and dime me. I'm sorry, but I've had 2 awful days at work in a row and just have to vent to keep from going insane. This may get rambly, and I apologize for the length ahead of time. For background, I work at a specialty store in a pretty wealthy neighborhood of a major metro city in the US. Yesterday, a woman yelled at me because I didn't know the exact polyphenol content of every olive oil in our store. She was looking for a number, which does exist, but even the professional tasters usually only say high or low. Then, this morning, I had to lift a 160-pound pallet up a flight of stairs by myself because the owners forgot a shipment was coming today. Anyway, that brings us to our first customer of the day. A lady comes in from the rain, and it's clear she's had some plastic surgery done. I know it's extremely problematic, but I really judge people for plastic surgery. I know, but I'm currently uninsured and can barely afford to survive while she gets monthly Botox. Whatever. She asks for something by the wrong name, and I, not correcting her, just confirming, use the right name. She goes over to inspect it and says, yeah, that I guess. As she walks away, she mumbles something I can't catch. This is how the exchange went. Me: I'm sorry? Lady:
What?
Sorry, I just didn't hear what you said.
The neighborhood discount.
Oh yeah, I know the bakery offers one.
No, I mean I would like the neighborhood discount here.
Oh, I'm sorry. We don't offer a neighborhood discount here. This whole time, she's been looking at her phone. She sets the phone down and looks directly at me.
Every store in this neighborhood offers a neighborhood discount.
Okay, well, the only stores I know that offer the neighborhood discount are the cigar shop and the bakery. And that's only for
The what?
the bakery.
Which bakery?
The French bakery? It's 2 doors down from here. This is a very well-known bakery that has a line out the door every Friday and Saturday morning. I go there once a week and routinely have conversations with customers and locals about it. If she doesn't know about it, it's highly unlikely that she lives or works in the neighborhood.
I don't know that one, but I do know the cigar shop, and every other local business on this block offers a neighborhood discount.
Well, I'm really sorry, but no one here has informed me that we offer a neighborhood discount.
This is unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. You local businesses beg all of us to support you and promise discounts for locals. But when we do, you don't honor them. I can't believe this.
Okay, well, I'm really sorry. I could probably give you 5% off today.
That's the neighborhood discount.
Right, that's the neighborhood discount at the bakery and the cigar shop. I don't know what other stores may offer.
Unbelievable. Fine, yes, 5%.
Okay, great. I start to ring her up. I try to diffuse the situation by just making some casual conversation. So, what business do you own or work at?
No, I live here.
Oh, okay. Well, I know the bakery's discount is really only for other local business owners or employees. I don't think they offer it to people that just live in the neighborhood.
This is totally ridiculous. I told you already. I don't know what bakery you're talking about. I can leave my name and you can look it up later. I live here, and I get the neighborhood discount.
That's not necessary. I believe you. I don't. It's just the owners are extremely strict on giving out discounts they haven't told us about beforehand. I'm sorry for being difficult, but it's my job on the line here.
You should know that locals get the neighborhood discount. It's totally unbelievable that you wouldn't honor it.
She pays and starts to head out the door. I say, "Have a great day. Try to stay dry out there." She says,
Yep.
"First and foremost, I don't believe she lives here at all. I think she lives in a notoriously wealthy suburb nearby and probably heard about this neighborhood discount from the cigar shop owner and assumed every business offered it. Secondly, I basically gave her the discount to shut her up, but it only saved her 30 cents. I doubt the owners will even spot it. But we did just get grilled about giving out too many discounts a few weeks ago. I make minimum wage, and my job is on the line because a wealthy snob wanted to save 30 cents. Next we've got Entitled mother tries to guilt me into giving her and her goblin the seat I have, which is for people who are feeling sick. Whole bus yells at me. So this happened today, and I'm still partially in disbelief and frustrated. I'm tired of people telling me,
Well, you look fine, so gimme.
my condition is called ulcerative colitis. It's similar to Crohn's disease, and recently it has been really badly flaring up to the point where I have to have a spare change of clothes, more than a gallon of water because of all the electrolytes I'm losing, and vomit bags because I sometimes vomit due to pain. Today I went by bus to see a friend, and we had a great day just watching movies, going to the movies the next day, and window shopping. During the activities, my stomach started to hurt, and I had to sit down and stop what I was doing immediately. My friend was worried, but understood that this was part of my condition, ulcerative colitis, and knew I couldn't speak, just deep breaths. Regardless of that though, we talked about all this stuff we missed with each other. I stayed at her place for one night and cleaned up some of the dishes since it was also my mess, but checked the time, got ready, and bought some food on the go so I didn't have to rush anything. While I was waiting at the bus stop, I saw a mother and her 2 kids. One boy and one girl. The girl was such a sweetheart, but that boy was already being bratty and whining about something every 2 seconds. The girl was much more patient than the boy. Once the bus arrived, I tried to move away from this Karen as far as I could. Thanks to this whole scenario, my stomach is aching really bad, and I closed my eyes while I put some music on until the pain was gone. This is where the story begins. We've got Karen, we've got her goblin, we've got the sweet girl, and the bus driver. I was in my own world, trying to concentrate on my pain when I feel a tap on my shoulder. I take out one of my earbuds and smile at this lady, even though she was frowning and scared me a little. She didn't look like a typical Karen with her outfit, but ding ding ding, she had the hair. I could hear her tapping her foot in an annoyingly loud way. Karen.
Well?
I looked confused. Well, what? Karen put a hand on her hip.
I need this seat. My back is hurting, and I need another seat.
I looked around, and there were at least 3 other ones on the bus. I gave a confused look. There's plenty of other seats. Karen.
But only that one has a bigger window. My son would also like to sit next to me in your spot.
Of course, I was still in pain, but I was just shocked and couldn't concentrate on my stomach at all. Karen glared at me.
Besides, these chairs are for people who have some sort of medical issue. I highly doubt a kid would have health problems.
By the way, I'm 23 and most definitely not a kid. I have an awkward smile. I'm sorry, miss, but I'm getting internal pain and I need to sit down. People who didn't even understand what was going on jeered at me, telling me I'm being disrespectful towards this poor lady who has 2 kids and has a hard life. I was apparently in need of a good beat to show me how hard life can really be. I was shocked and disgusted into silence because I've never heard someone, let alone several people, speaking to me like that in my life, all over a seat. A seat. I was too panicked to move at this point, where people were trying to make me uncomfortable with their size and numbers. Karen smiled like a psychopath because she thought that she'd be getting what she wanted. I looked down, just waiting for people to shove me away, but I heard bus driver clearly yelling,
That's enough. The poor girl is dealing with serious pain, and you're all bullying her because some psycho jerk told her to get out. Shame on all of you for attacking an innocent and sick person who is clearly ill. I heard you all minimalizing her condition, and guess what I have? Crohn's disease, and they're very similar. Don't talk crap about things you have no idea about.
The people who were yelling at me stopped, shuffled away, and silently went back to their seats. Even Karen was taken aback and took her son to another spot quietly. At this point, I'm crying from shock, relief, and anxiety. When it was my turn to leave the bus, I gave him an extra $50 I had in my pocket, and even though he refused to take it, I told him it was my thanks, and I'll be forever grateful, and that those of us who have gastro disease should stick together, jokingly. He said thank you when I handed the 50 and got out. I don't get to see him much since I moved, but I'll never forget how he stuck up for me when I couldn't even stand up for myself. It's things like this that make me appreciate life. That kind man didn't know me, but still stuck up for me because of how nasty people were being. Next we've got, to the burglar who fed our office cat, thanks. I manage a small furniture store in a formerly upscale area. The owner has been getting on to me for the last weeks about randomly leaving a light on at night when I leave. He and I are the only people who have keys to the building as far as either of us know. Our landlord doesn't have a key. I honestly don't think I have been doing it. I am very careful about turning everything off, especially once I've already been confronted by my boss about it. The last time this happened was Tuesday. I had the day off, and one of my employees called saying the owner was complaining about the lights again. With him now complaining to other people, I have been extra careful about turning everything off at night, double and triple checking before I leave with flashlight in hand. I'm not the one leaving lights on. I needed to be in early this morning to meet a truck driver, and I beat the owner in. As soon as I unlocked the door, I noticed that the lights were on. Nothing had been stolen. The store cash is still exactly the same as it was last night when I left. The Cokes in the refrigerator are still there. My custom shop Kramer guitar is still hanging on the wall where I leave it. My job is really boring. The only thing that was different, other than my office light being left on, was a half-eaten pile of cat food left in front of our building where we don't normally feed the office cats. I have called every employee, our landlord, the maintenance man, and the owner's wife to make sure none of them borrowed a key and came in while we were closed. They all deny knowing anything about it. I trust them, but somebody is doing it. Neither my boss or I really care. Whoever it is that's coming in at night to sleep on our mattresses isn't actually stealing anything other than my enjoyment of feeding the cats in the mornings. We just want them to turn out the lights when they leave. Next we've got, you have a cyst on your brain and can't work normal hours due to the pain? Watch my kid. As a bit of background, my aunt is only a few years older than I am. She married her husband several years ago, and they ended up having a kid together. I love my niece to pieces. She is the cutest and always melts my heart. That said, her parents leave much to be desired. For the past few years, I have been dealing with a chronic illness that ended up with me having to have several surgeries. My aunt and her husband have always acknowledged my issues, but usually feigned indifference, always wanting to know why I didn't hang out with or see them more often rather than how I was actually holding up. I just chalked it up to the fact that they didn't really quite understand what I was going through. This belief was destroyed when, several months ago, I was in a car crash and started experiencing intense migraines that happened without warnings and seemingly without a cause. My migraines would usually hit around 1 p.m. and would last for the rest of the day. It reached the point where I was working part of the day at the office and finishing what I could at home. During this time, my family was updated with my progress and how I was doing. Eventually, I had an MRI done, and it was found that I had 2 benign cysts on my brain that were causing all of my pain and issues. Because of this, I was rarely up past 9:30 p.m. as I just wanted to sleep my pain away and wake up feeling slightly normal. This is important. My aunt and her husband are fairly well off, to the point where he doesn't think of anyone else except himself and his own selfish desires, and will willingly rub his wealth into others' faces. She grew up in a fairly poor household, so she absolutely loves having money and the security that comes with it. I don't blame her, as I understand that feeling, but she allows it to take over. But no matter how much money they have, they are constantly looking for friends and family to provide free childcare so they can go out and drink with their friends. Here's where the entitled parent part comes in. While dealing with my medical problems that they were well aware of at this point, they texted me several times asking me to come over and watch their daughter while she slept, so they could go out and party with friends at a local nightlife bar.
She'll be sleeping. You won't have to worry about anything. Just come over and stay until we come home around midnight or so.
It'll be really easy.
I would gently remind them that I go to bed around 9:30, that midnight is way too late for me to be up, and that I have a hard enough time taking care of myself without my boyfriend helping out, let alone imagine being responsible for a 2-year-old. I ended up having surgery to drain one of the cysts last week, to which I sent my aunt a photo of me the day before, and she replied with,
You look really pretty for someone apparently having surgery tomorrow.
and thought that this would finally be the end of the free babysitting questions. I mean, brain surgery, am I right? Who in their right mind would ask someone who just had brain surgery to watch their kid while they're healing? You guessed it. 2 days after I had been discharged from the hospital, 5 days after surgery, I saw her husband. Granted, I was definitely hopped up on pain meds and looking really well for someone who just went through what I had, but that doesn't excuse any of his behavior. We were talking about how I was told by my doctor to keep active and moving to reduce the risk of blood clots, and he looks at me and we have the following conversation. Him. Hey, you can go on walks with Aunt. I'm sure she would love that. Me. That's a great idea. I would love to spend more time with her. Him. You guys can even take the kid on walks with you. Me. Even better. We can get some real bonding time in. Him. You know, you can even take the kid by yourself, so we can have a break and do things without her. I don't say anything. Him. Don't worry, she's a really smart kid. She knows the difference between pretend ouchies and real ouchies. It's perfect. Me. No. I ended up texting my aunt later that day to clarify that I would, 1, love to spend time with her walking, but it would be on my terms near my home, where I could easily return and be uncomfortable if things started feeling too overwhelming or if my pain was too much. And 2, I would under no circumstances be watching her kid during my healing process. I don't care how smart she is. I can't run after her. I can't pick her up. I wouldn't even be able to drive her to the hospital if something happened. Not to mention that if something happened to me while watching her, she wouldn't know what was happening, what to do, or how to call 911. And I'm not willing to risk traumatizing her because her parents wanted to go out and have drinks with friends. I don't care if there is a 99% chance that she'll be asleep the entire time I'm there. I'm not willing to risk the 1% chance that something does happen. And the fact that you're willing to take that risk says a lot about you as a parent. And our final story of the day. Crazy lady refuses to let fiance pass at the shop, tries to get him banned from the store. This happened today to my fiance. So my fiance popped up to the local supermarket that's just around the corner to buy a bag of cat litter, since when we went yesterday they had sold out. Unsurprisingly, they haven't restocked yet, so he heads towards the only open checkout to try to squeeze past and leave. The line is long, so he politely asks if he can just squeeze past, and everyone in line is totally fine stepping to the side since he's not cutting the line and only trying to exit the shop. No problems until he reaches the lady at the front of the line. This crazy lady is blocking the end of the till, so he politely asks if he can step past. Entitled lady is quite large, and though my fiance is quite thin, entitled lady is blocking the whole end of the till, so he can't get past without her moving. Fiance. Excuse me, could I get past please? I haven't got any items, I'm just trying to leave. Entitled lady.
No, you can't. You cannot cut the line. You will have to go to the back.
I don't have anything. They didn't have what I was looking for. I'm just trying to leave.
No, go to the back of the line and wait your turn like everyone else.
I'm not cutting. I just want to leave. Entitled lady turns to the cashier.
This man is trying to cut the line. Have security escort him out and have him banned from the store. Now.
The cashier is a lovely Polish lady and is often on the tills when we shop, so knows our faces and has just heard the conversation between fiance and the other people in the line who allowed him to pass. Cashier, with a very confused look at entitled lady, says to fiance, "Just go through, it's fine." So fiance kind of shimmies past this elephant-sized woman who is still refusing to move and is now huffing since everyone is ignoring her demands to have fiancé removed from the store. Fiancé finally gets past, says thank you to the kind cashier, and is about to leave. Entitled lady, turning to cashier.
Get security. He's probably stolen something. Stop him. He's a thief.
By this point, the shop's gone silent, and everyone is just staring at this crazy woman yelling at my fiancé for trying to steal from the store. By this point, my fiancé has had enough and responds with,
Listen to me. I came to buy cat litter, and they are sold out. I haven't got anything else. You're obviously in a hurry, though. By the looks of things, you're carrying octuplets. You might want to get to the hospital quick. I think you're crowning.
Turns around and walks out the store, leaving the stunned woman in total silence and the kind cashier and several other customers trying to disguise their laughter. This is the second time in 2 days he's been accused of stealing by someone in that store. Yesterday, it was the jerk security guard who's rude to everyone, including the staff. No interesting story. He was just told to empty his pockets and then sent on his way. So I'm guessing his manners went out the window. It's been a bit of a stressful week. I'm just relaying it here as it was told to me, as I was asked to. I'm sorry if anyone is offended by his way of handling it. The layout of the store is a one-way system, so you have to exit via a checkout. You cannot go out the same doors you came in through, so this checkout was his only way out. Lady, you think you're smart, which is not the same as actually being smart. I sell glasses in a big box store. I had a 60-something lady come in that basically had the condescending, "I've never worked a day in my life, so I'm above you" attitude about her. You know the type. The arm had snapped off of her glasses, and she wanted to know if I could put her lenses in a new frame. This isn't an uncommon request in itself. They didn't come from our shop originally, so I explained that the lens had to be a very close match to the new frame, and it can be hard to find that because suppliers like to use different patterns, so you have to go back to the original shop. I'm still happy to see if I can find her one though. I go over and start seeing if there's one I can make work. This is like hunting a needle in a haystack, and there are usually only 1 or 2 frames at most that will work. Basically, you have to take what you can get, and it's rarely the ideal color or style. Her original frame is a narrow rectangle. The lens size is 52 millimeters wide and maybe 32 millimeters tall at most. Most optical frames have the width stamped on the inside, so she sees a 52 on the inside of hers. She pulls down this massive cat-eye frame. It's in the 45 millimeter tall range. Her lens is a skinny rectangle. This is a tall trapezoid.
This says 52 on the inside. Mine say 52 on the inside. They are the same size. I want these.
I'm dumbfounded, but try to be as polite as I can. I reply, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but 52 is the width of the lens. While these two have the same width, they don't have the same height. Your lens is way too small for this frame. We'll have to go with a shorter one that's closer to a rectangle." This was not acceptable. She reiterates,
This says 52. Mine says 52. They are the same size. 52 and 52 are the same number.
"Ma'am, I understand that, but 52 is the width. These lenses are not even close to the same shape." I even hold her lens up to the taller one to show her. "I have no way to stretch your lens. That's not something that can be done. We have to find one closer to the same height and shape."
But they both say 52. What don't you understand about that? 52 and 52 are the same. It's the same size. Why can't you seem to understand that?
She says this like I'm a moron who probably can't even count to 52. This lady seemed to think she had found some archaic knowledge by matching these two numbers, like it was a shoe size. If it matches, it works. After about 10 minutes of back and forth, with 2 coworkers backing me up, she just refused to believe me and left in a huff. Next we've got Karen tries to skip me in line, and I'm not having it. There is a summer fair for kids in my town, and we go there with the twins. My daughter sets her mind to have her face painted, but the line is very long. It stretches along a bench, which belongs to the next table, where you can make your own name buttons. It's a bit off to the side, but the people kind of organize themselves, and it's clear that everybody waits. The kids waiting are all using the 30+ minutes of wait time to make a button. After a while, my son comes over and wants to join the line. I tell him no, he has to get to the end. There are 3 kids behind us now, as it would not be fair to the others who waited while he went playing. He sulks off. After 20 minutes, a mother with her 2 kids appears in front of the face painters, ignoring the seated kids waiting. At first, I think she just wants to ask something, but they seem to be skipping the line. Maybe she misread the situation, I think, and I speak up. There are 3 painting stations and only 2 more girls in front of my daughter, and her kids would take up the spot that is about to open for us. Me. Excuse me, the line ends over there if you want to join. Karen.
Those kids are not in line. They are making buttons. We are next to have her face painted.
Me. No, sorry. All those kids are waiting too. You can't skip the line like that. Karen.
You can keep your opinion to yourself.
Are you seriously doing this? Karen says coldly.
Yes.
Really? Is that what you are showing your kids is the right thing to do? Other parents are speaking up as well. The mother after me is also quite vocal about it. Me. Well, if you really think this is right and how to be an example for your kids, I just can't believe it. This is just unfair and you are wrong. I will not just be quiet and take this. So last chance, would you please go to the back of the line like a normal human being with manners? I can't force you to leave, but I will give you every piece of my mind that concerns you right now. Karen.
If that's what makes you happy, I don't care.
I'm shaking with anger now, and I start giving her an angry mom dressing down from heck. As she has no way of leaving while keeping her stolen spot in line, I have a lot of time. Me. You have no manners, it seems. Did your parents raise you just as badly as you are now raising your kids to behave entitled? Does it feel good for your kids to be the mom who behaves this badly? The woman who thinks she is better than everybody else? Who wants the world to revolve around her? I just want you to know that you are a bad parent right now. And if your kid lies in bed tonight, ashamed of her mother's behavior, it is your doing alone. What would your mother say about how you act? Probably nothing, as it seems she never had before when you cheated your way through. Just to be clear, I do not shout, but speak clearly, and my daughter is absorbed in her button for most of it. The other woman is either ignoring me, her back turned to me, or trying again to justify herself with,
If you are in line, you should stand in line, not make buttons.
Reasoning. As the kid in front of her finishes up, I ask her again. Me. You still think skipping the line is okay?
Karen. There was no line to skip.
I grab my daughter, shove myself in front of her kid, and set mine in front of the face painter. Great. No line, so we are next. The face painter hands my daughter the book with examples to choose from. The woman behind us glares. My daughter goes through the book without much enthusiasm, and I feel sorry for the situation being kind of my fault. I just can't stand cheaters. Luckily, the face painter is very nice, seemingly taking her sweet time. Meanwhile, the mother starts ranting at me.
I will report you for harassing me.
Me. You are welcome to call any authority that you want to involve. I'm sure they can help settle this, but I am done for my part. And so are the butterflies. My daughter looks in the mirror and is happy, so we leave. As I am leaving, I hear voices behind me. The next parents are not letting her steal their place either. I am quite flustered and have to take a break. After some time watching the kids play in the bounce house, I am better and I go over to get my kids some slushies. On the way, I see the mother with her much older daughter on her arm, the girl crying on her shoulder. No face paint to be seen. She sees me waiting for my kids and makes a final attempt to get to me. Karen.
I just want to let you know that you ruined my daughter's day.
Oh no, That was your doing, not mine.
Well, I talked to the boss of this fair, and he totally agreed with me. You should go talk to him if you have any decency.
You know what? I will do that and see what's up.
You are a horrible...
Nope, I'm done. I don't need people like you in my life. Get lost. I turn away and get my kids. As the slush stand is next to a kind of informational booth, I step over. Me. I think you had to deal with an angry woman right now that blamed me for all her misery caused by not being able to skip a line. She said somebody would want a word with me. Boothman. Well, yeah, there was an angry lady, but I'm just the guy who takes care of the volunteers. I can't help you. Me. Yes, you can. Please give my thanks to the face painters for being so calm and my apology for all the fuss with her. Boothman seems to exhale and relax a lot. I certainly will. Sorry, people are kind of crazy today. I just did not want to get yelled at again. Despite her saying I ruined her day, she took the time to keep glaring at me for a while from afar. I ignored her, and after a while, did not see her again. Next we've got entitled couple invades our bowling lanes before our league finishes. This happened last night, and I figured it would make for a good post. I bowl in a few leagues. My Friday night league is followed by cosmic bowling. If you don't know, cosmic bowling is when they turn off the lights and use black lights, strobes, and disco lights with loud music. The people who come to play during cosmic bowling are able to pay and also get their shoe rentals, but are not allowed in the pit area, our tables and lanes, until all of the league teams are finished. I am team captain, so it was my job to keep the score recap sheets. After we finished our 3 games, I was totaling the scores on the sheet so I could turn it in. Because I was still doing that, my bowling balls were still up on and under the ball return, and I still had my shoes on. It wasn't a big deal because there were 6 other teams still bowling. So while I was finishing up the recap sheet, a couple decided to invade our table. They looked like they were maybe young 20s. It was a rude woman and her bully boyfriend. This is the conversation that followed. Boyfriend.
Here, hon, there's a pink ball just for you.
Me. My ears perked up at pink ball, and I looked up to see him pointing at my ball, still on the return. Excuse me, what are you doing? Karen.
I'm just getting my balls so we can bowl.
Her boyfriend.
Yeah, and you need to get your crap off the table because it's ours.
Me. Well, first of all, we aren't finished yet, so you don't belong down here. Secondly, that is my ball. Karen's boyfriend.
Buzz off! I paid for us to be here now. You are finished, so you need to get lost. And since you are finished, we are going to use this ball now.
Rude woman goes over and picks up my ball and promptly drops it. It is 15 pounds and heavy if you are not a strong bowler.
This ball doesn't fit me right.
She then threw it back at the ball return. Me, now really angry. Look, you jerks. That ball was $189 plus drilling costs, and you are going to pay for it if you broke it. And I am not going to tell you again. We are not done, so you need to get out of the pit. Her boyfriend comes over to tower over me and look intimidating.
What are you going to do about it, you old cow?
Me, pushing the button for lane assistance. I am taking my balls, and I am going to put them away, and I'm going to finish our recaps, while you are going to get away from here. Front desk answers the call button. Front desk? Me. Can you please send someone over to my lane for help? I have open bowlers harassing me. Front desk. No problem. The front desk employee comes over and tells the couple that they can either leave the pit area and wait until cosmic bowling starts, or they can leave the bowling alley. If they continued the harassment, they would have the police officer escort them out. They pay a uniformed officer to be there on Friday and Saturday nights during cosmic bowling to keep the idiots from getting too out of control. The couple continued to complain about how they already paid and that they should be able to start, but the employee held firm and they eventually walked away to the bar area. The employee also turned the lane back on for a few minutes so I could throw a few test shots with my ball and make sure it was okay. I balled with it again in today's league and it seems fine. Thank goodness. So I packed up and left. It wasn't super dramatic, but at least everything ended well. Thanks for reading. Next we've got Karen makes it about herself at Granddad's funeral. I was very hesitant to post this one, but I feel like it needs to be heard. I should also say that this is not my story, but rather my mother's, which I got her blessing to tell it on. And the Karen is, unfortunately, my grandmother, my mom's mother. Now, to get a good idea of what this Karen is like, she is short, round, does not have the Karen haircut, but makes it up with the attitude and personality. For example, when I was living with my mother, Karen would call her up maybe once a month if we were unlucky, and they would spend a good 4 hours. I know what you're thinking. She doesn't sound like a Karen to me, more like a mother just catching up with their kid. Now, I would agree if I didn't know the contents of the conversations, or rant in this case. Karen would just complain and rant to my mother about the animals, how she has too many of them, how she can't get food for them, the house, the weather, where she lives, about people in town, why she can't understand why people keep saying she is a terrible person, just to name a few. She is so predictable in her rants that you could write down a checklist of the key talking points of it and tick every box. For 4 hours, she would just rant and complain, never asking how mom was, how us kids were. It was just about her. She also holds a grudge like you wouldn't believe. She would be angry at someone, but can't remember why she was angry in the first place, but just knows she was angry at them, so she stays angry. I wish I was joking. Now to the story. My granddad, who I should say isn't my mom's actual dad, but he adopted her and vice versa, passed away. My mom naturally was heartbroken and called me for a favor. Because the funeral is out of state on where we live, she needs to drive to the city, a 4-hour drive, then take a plane up about 2 hours for the funeral. So she needs someone to look after her animals while she is away. Of course, I agree. It was simple. Just take care of animals for a week, and if she is longer, she would let me know so I could get extra food for them and would pay me back. About the 4th or 5th day, I get a call from Mom, letting me know she was back in our state and would be home tomorrow. I was kind of taken by this, but asked if she wanted me to feed the animals tomorrow so she didn't have to. She said it was fine and told me she would see me when she got back. The next day, I did check if my mom was there. Sure enough, she was, but didn't go in since I wanted to give her some space to breathe for traveling for so long. The day after, I went to see her just to see how she was. When I saw her, she looked just hurt, and what she told me just sickened me. When my mom got up there, she was greeted by her brother, my uncle, and then taken to Karen's house where she would be staying for the week. And at first, everything was going fine until it wasn't. Karen starts to loudly speak poorly about Granddad. Horrible things about him. Beyond disgusting about him. Mom asked Karen to stop. Karen just spun around and shouted,
How would you know? You're just a stupid jerk.
My mom, clearly upset, told Karen that she came up here to bury her father and not listen to this BS. This left Karen silent, and Mom went to her room to cool down, coming to the term that Karen had lost her husband, so she gave her a pass. After that, Karen was docile for a moment. Once again, she returned to her rant on Granddad, literally speaking ill of the dead. My mom had enough, went back into her room and packed all her things, returning out and asked my uncle if he could take her to a nearby hotel. Karen, seeing this, asked why she was leaving. My mom turns to her and says, If I stay here, I will hurt you. According to my mom, Karen's face was pure shock. My mom's pure seriousness. The day of the funeral came, and Karen did not say a word to my mom, which she was fine with. Then came one of the ultimate FUs to Granddad. Karen had booked the lunch at the RSL, the Returned and Service League. My granddad despises them. I did later ask my mom why was this, and my mother, to the best of her knowledge, said that Granddad felt disrespected by them when he returned from war. My mom, feeling disgusted, refused to go. Instead, went to Granddad's favorite pub to order his favorite meal, fish and steak, and a couple beers to honor Granddad. It's here she met with Granddad's side of the family. Notice only Mom being there. They asked where everyone was. Mom explained what happened, and they were equally upset at Karen, as she knew full well how Granddad felt towards the RSL, but went there because she wanted to go there. Unbelievable. With the verbal insults, the attacks on Granddad, and disrespecting him just to make it about her. My mom was done with Karen, saying that she went up there to bury her dad, but returning as an orphan. My mom tried to contact Karen once several months after the funeral, when she got diagnosis with breast cancer. My mom, naturally scared, just wanted to let Karen know. Remember what I said about Karen holding grudges? Yup, she never responded back. To her own daughter, my mother, who had breast cancer. She did not respond because her pride is worth more to her. It has been several years after that, and my mom is far better off without the negativity of Karen in her life. Yes, my mom is still fighting her cancer. It's aggressive, but contained if anyone is curious. While Karen is now by herself in her own hatred, and honestly, it's a punishment worth fitting for this Karen. Anyways, thanks for listening. I needed to get this one off my chest. Rest in peace, Granddad.
And shoutouts to our regenerals of the day, Aldrich, Hayden, and Estonia. Become tomorrow's regenerals by leaving as many reads as you can in the comments below, and please listen to my playlist every night when you go to sleep.